Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Conversations with Coaches podcast, formerly Coffee with Coaches, possibly someday Croissants with Coaches, as Taj and I have been talking about. We like our alliteration here. I am Kevin, and today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Taj. Taj is a transformation coach on a mission to energize humans to expand their power and potential in life. As a licensed hypnotherapist, she's a thought leader in mindset shifts and change dynamics. Her company, Believe You Me, specializes in personal and professional transformations, advocating for people of color to create their own reality. Modest goals. Taj, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, Kevin, thank you so much. I feel honored to be here. I'm very grateful to have this conversation with you. And yes, there are big goals, but that's a reason. There's a reason for that. Very intentional.
That's right. That's right. Let's go back to the beginning, start at the start, talk about your superhero origin story. How did you get your start as a coach? How did you have that moment of realization, maybe that you already sort of were a coach, and then take that realization into starting your own coaching business?
Yes, and I love this story because the further I go into the coaching business and just doing the work that I love to do, it unfolds even deeper. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it goes back further and further and further to how this really started. So as you mentioned, I'm a transformation coach. And really what that means is that I have been on my own deep and spiritual transformation journey for quite some time now. And I think when I talk about how I got here, it really just started me always questioning, like, is this real life? That was something I always ask myself, is this real life? Something seems off here. And I've been always on this journey of looking for this secret map for the answers that what I was seeing out my eyes were not giving me, because something in my heart did not believe that this was all there was to it. And so I think as I went through my journey of just understanding the nuances of life and what power that we have as people, that we have access to or that we're not allowed to tap into, depending on what our family dynamic is or the trauma that we've experienced, or whatever you believe, there's this moment of there is more out there, but how do we get it? Where are those answers? And so I knew I was on, my mission was to find the answers. But if I'm on a mission to find the answers, then I have no choice but to give them to other people. Like I'm going to find them so that I can share them, so that no one else has to sit there like crying in a corner, figuring out like, is this real life? Like, how do I do this? I feel very deeply. Clairsentient, if you're into that, it's just a very deep connection to energy in the world around us in the universe. And so I know how bad that feels. I know how awful that feels to feel less than. And so I feel like I have a very unique approach to helping people feel like their full authentic selves and they can feel that wholeness. And that's kind of where it started, me looking for the answer to feel my own wholeness, and then being like, I have to give this to other people. I can't let them feel like this anymore.
That really is the natural, like, it is the instinct. It is the urge. I think it is, if you've truly just like discovered that thing that like where you found that path, you found not only answers, but even better questions. Like it's this virtuous cycle that goes forward. There's like parallel, like real tight on the same path with that is that immediate and profound and, quite frankly, in my experience, irresistible urge to share that experience with others. And hopefully in some way that will help them in the same way that you were helped, and obviously that's the job of a coach a lot of times, is to shape and adapt what they've experienced in transformation, in their growth, and to be able to share that with someone else sort of in their own personal language, with some slight adjustment where it's like, this is what this was like for me. Let's talk about what this will be like for you when I help you discover it. It's really like, it's so powerful and it's so enriching. And it's like, I think in my head, I have this visualization of just a rising tide, because it's just like that when you're engaged with a coach and you have that moment, that experience, it just, you feel the level of everyone around you raise up just a tiny bit. It's so lovely.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite feeling. I was actually just talking to a client the other day. It's almost addicting. It's like a drug, power. When you feel power. And we power has positive and negative connotations to it, right? So when I say the addiction part and power, people automatically think villain, like negative. And that to me is totally unfair, because the positive side of power is just as addicting when you realize that you don't have to play the cards that you've been dealt. You don't have to stand for, whatever energies in front of you or what people are doing. You don't have to take that, and that you are allowed to assign your worth and value to your life in any situation that you are, and you're allowed to go out there and ask people for that, and only, receive that if that's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different, but I mean, you could say that I'm addicted to water, because if I don't have it on a regular basis, I'll feel terrible. I'll start to feel physically ill, and then eventually I will die. It's like, I'm not addicted to water. It is the nourishing element of my existence. And I'm just kind of riffing here, so go with me. When you find this new nourishing element of your existence, once you found it, you don't want to go back to whatever you were living before, this like dry, always thirsty place. Like, you want to both continue to drink that water, and you want to share it with other people. It's like a little flip.
Absolutely. And that's what I love the most about what I do. And I think where my superpowers and my uniqueness and gifts really come in is helping people shift into see the bigger version of themselves. But you said about your mind, like, once you see something, you can't unsee it. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'm here to do, is help people, like, really in a very interesting way, recognize that the things that they're saying about themselves, like, what if they just reframed it just a tiny bit, and now it means something totally different? Like, how do you, I'm really gifted at helping people tap into those limiting unconscious beliefs that are not allowing them to see this bigger version of themselves, and just through, like, an hour conversation, we could blow some things up, and healing is like peeling layers of an onion. It's a very common expression where, pull back one another, and you got to get to the center of it in order for, you not to have an onion anymore, because onions make you cry, and
there'll be tears.
A lot of things.
There will be tears.
And oh man, now I'm like, what did I go with the onion example? Peeling back layers of the onion. I guess what I can say to wrap that up is just, once you get to that center, it is so incredibly amazing to know that there is just more out there for you. Mm-hmm. More, whatever you want, more. And then oh, that's what I was going to say, because this is really my favorite part. Once you get to the center of the onion and it's all gone, your world starts to change. Your outer reality starts to literally just morph and change and shift to the way you truly really want it to be. And a lot of times people miss that external transformation because they're, focused on, they're very narrow-minded into either their career, especially when I work with people with career. They're like, okay, got to get the job. We got to do this. We got to do that. I had a client the other day, and I had to stop her and say, you are absolutely moving forward, but I want you to recognize what you have created in the place that you're right now, because things are shifting in your favor already before you even moved on. It's shifting right where you are. And you have to see that you have started to create that magic in your life, where something that was upsetting you is now gone. And it's been upsetting you for months now. We've been working together for a few weeks, and now it's gone. And I didn't do any of that. You did that. You changed that because you did this, you did that, you did that. You're talking like this, you're feeling like this, so on and so forth. And then their mind just blows, because it's like, I did that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was all you. I didn't do anything.
I just came alongside and told you some things. All the power came from you.
Exactly. And that moment of people realizing that they've turned on at least one of the power switches that they have inside of them, that's what I'm here for. I live for that. That brings me so much joy.
Mm-hmm. And it's a contagious joy too. It's just it spreads around to every person in your life. And yeah, it's lovely. Let's talk about them for a second. Who do you coach, and how do you coach them is kind of how I've stumbled into talking about it. And it's a little bit more like nuts and boltsy, where it's like, if you have, some people have very specific targets for their coaching practice. Some people are just like, I'll take anybody because I can help anybody in any circumstance. And that's both can be true. Sometimes you're a little more focused on one than the other. And then also how do you coach them? Do you have any particular like approaches or techniques? Do you usually do like one-to-one coaching where you're just like right there across from each other? Do you do any like small group coaching where you kind of work with teams, whether it's in a personal or a professional environment? Maybe all of the above. Like who and how?
Yes. This is always a tough question because I feel like those people where I'm like, I can help anybody. I really can. Because there's no limits to what it is that you want to do. And I guess I do help everyone in my daily life when I'm talking to people, interacting and making stuff. But when it comes to the business, I focus my outreach on people of color, and really what we do is personal and professional transformations, because your career is only one part of your life. And in order for me to be able to help you really transform, we have to put that back into the totality of who you are as a human being. And that's how you're able to get that moving in a better direction, because you take ownership over it again. So when it comes to the clientele that I work with, it's easiest for me to lean into the career side. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. The easiest way to talk to someone is say, hey, you spend 40 hours a week here, if not more, you hate it. Like, does that really suit you? Like, why are you doing that? I can help you figure out how this works. But at the end of the day, it's all gonna seep into your personal life as well too. So if you come and you're like, hey, a lot of my clients that start with career will move on to the personal side. As a hypnotherapist, right, I have tons of modalities and then things that I can help with in other areas of your life as well too. I say all that to say, I guess I start with career, but I'm always happy to jump in on the personal life as well too. And how I coach people, I really like to hinge it on 3 very simple things. I call them the ABCs. I talk about them all the time, but it's authenticity, belief, and clarity. You have to, 1, be absolutely willing to do the work, because it's not easy, removing the indoctrination that you've had for so long and really starting to believe in the totality of yourself, but finding your authenticity for who you are, what you want, your belief for yourself, as I said, and the belief that you can accomplish all the things that you came here to do, whether that be like worldly contribution to others, but also creating your own life to be the successful and as rich and beautiful and bold as you want it to be. And then clarity, right? You have to have the clarity in order to be able to get the universe on your side. I believe in the universe and the universal flow of abundance and how that can help people really begin to create. And so you have to have the clarity for that, to be able to have the universe kind of step in and create magic for you.
I feel like you structure that perfectly too, because it really is as basic and foundational as your ABCs. It really is. Like, in these words like authenticity and belief and clarity, they're all concepts that as you unpack them, they really reach into every element of your human existence. Oh, and gosh. They are foundational. You can understand that, you can get them completely from the beginning, and then you spend the rest of your life building words out of them, building a language, building a life out of them, And I feel like it's important to get that message through, like right off the top, where it's like, this is your mother's milk. This is going to be the foundation of everything, and it's going to be fantastic. And you're going to learn something new about this every day that you didn't know yesterday. And you're going to look back at your yesterday self and be like, how did I not see that?
Yeah. Well, because you make a good point. That's the one thing that we don't do ourselves, right? We're born into those 3 foundational things. People tell us who we are, they tell us what to believe, and they tell us where we're going. And a lot of people, most people don't know that they have to take the time to erase that, to rip those pages out the book, take what it's worth, and then recreate something different. They just go with the flow. They go with what was given to them. And I don't think that's fair, because every person comes to this earth with such a powerful mission, something amazing that they are here to do. And I want to make sure that my job is to activate and energize as many of those people as I can, And I focus on people of color just because society, we've been oppressed. We've been living in this struggle of believing that we do not belong anywhere in the world just because of the color of skin. That's something, again, that we have no control over. So it's just like, I want to make sure that all of my Black and brown people know that you are just as powerful as anyone else that you see on TV, in the office, driving in these fancy cars. You can do what you want to do. It doesn't have to be that, but I want you to know that you are here for a reason, and I want to do anything I can to help you see the bigger version of yourself.
Sorry, I wanted to sit with that for a moment. It's very lovely. You have, I mean, obviously, you've been doing this for a while, and you're great at it, and so you have a very not just eloquent, but also very like casually powerful way of speaking about your process and your coaching approach, and it's just. I've already kept you for like, we chatted like for 15 minutes before I hit record. We're already deep in there. I know I try to say I keep these episodes brief. I so badly want to be greedy with you and just keep chatting about all this stuff because it's great. But I want to make sure that you talk at least for a couple minutes about where people can find more about you, where people can not just find out more about you, but connect with you, engage with you, learn more about you, maybe have a conversation, and then just go from there, because I want people to have what I've just had.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I've got time, I always block off the 30 minutes afterwards if I need to, decompress or meditate or crawl in a ball and cry. So, what's going to happen. You just need time. Yes, I would love for everyone to get in touch with me. I'm on a few different platforms where I show up pretty consistently. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but my name is Taj Avaje. That is the name of that's my name as a founder for Believe You Me and my entrepreneurial efforts. So I have my website, which is www.tajavaje.com. You can go there and find out a little bio about me, but also the way I serve, my community and the different things that I have available, from career workshops, or you want to do long-term coaching, or if you want to do hypnotherapy, that's up there as well. I also have some audios to help understand and shift energy along that way as well too. So that is always one. And then I'm on Instagram, Taj Avaje. Oh, and now I've got all these emails coming in. It's like work opened up. Yes, I'm on Instagram at Taj Avaje. I'm also on Twitter. I don't use that as often, but I try at Taj Avaje. And my LinkedIn, which is a slightly different, because it goes by my surname, my traditional surname, but you can find me on LinkedIn at Taj Pannell, which will soon, very well, probably after this chat, be Taj Avaje Pannell. We'll see how that goes.
Lovely. I find I enjoy various aspects of social media very differently. It's almost like we were just talking about how we have the different versions of ourselves that kind of present different aspects of the world. And so like I have Twitter, I keep at arm's length, because it's like I find it can be very powerful and can be a very interesting place. It could also just be a toxic cesspool of negativity and much, much worse. And so I tend to keep that at arm's length a little bit, but still find it very powerful. LinkedIn, this is the weirdest thing, because when I first encountered LinkedIn, like however many years, like 10, 15 years ago, whatever, I was just like, oh, look, it's just a resume for people who like cell phone holsters, or it's like I would just make fun of it. And now the joke's on me, because I love it. It is it's probably my favorite place to engage with people. The relationships I'm building up there, it's so good. It's so cool. I can actually not just like have surface relationships, but actually really get to know somebody just on LinkedIn in a way that feels very meaningful, personally and professionally,
Absolutely. And, I have a day job. I work at LinkedIn as well as a talent engagement program manager, and I've been there for almost 4 years now. And so I think one of the most powerful things about it is that there's so many different features on the platform that you can use to get so many new places in your career, and it just opens up so many opportunities. And I think it's funny that people are like, oh, it's just your resume. It's like, oh, it's way more than your resume. That's the last thing that is working for you on LinkedIn. Okay, let me tell you. But it's been also really fun. We talked about activating and energizing people before. It's also been fun to energize people to take control of their social presence as it pertains to their professional life in that way. And LinkedIn is the best platform to be able to do that on, and having that opportunity to I guess also coach people through that. I did it with LinkedIn when it comes to, we call it rock your profile, right? Like having the best practices for your profile to really get seen. And so like, that's something that I do all the time, right? I do those for free all the time, have those conversations because it's powerful and everyone should know. But then there's also this other element of how are you energizing yourself? How is your energy as a human being showing up as this on LinkedIn as a vehicle to be able to create more of what you want, make those connections and have that energy. Like Duke said, we connected on LinkedIn, but that wasn't because you and I are connected in any type of way, right? That was because you have an amazing energy doing what you're doing, conversations and coaches, and I have amazing energy and also an amazing friend, Roseanne. And then so like, that's how we all got here. But people forget to put that energy and that livelihood behind the platform so that all the different connections, all the 8 billion people that are on there, million, sorry, don't take that number out. I think it's like 710 million right now, the last number that I had. They're not just moving for no reason. They're moving. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, right? It's always transferred. So one of my best things I love talking to you about is like, how are you putting the energy that you want to show up into this vessel so that it can continue to attract like energy and go where you need it to go and start working harder for you behind the scenes or in the ether, however you want to put it.
Yeah, and it just takes a little bit of a, like we were talking about earlier, just like a slight tweak, just a slight change to the way you're looking at something, the way that you're showing up for something. Like the way that I show up in person is different than the way that I show up in Zoom. It's different than the way that I show up on social media. It's different than the way I show up in text versus, you know, whatever I put up on Instagram. Like it's still all me showing up, but I'm learning to adjust it and to engage with the vessel in a way that will best represent who I am and also open me up to the kind of connections that we lucked into. I call it luck, but really it's luck, and it's also a product of just doing the work of putting yourself out there and making the adjustments you need, getting the help that you need, reaching out to coaches like you to turn it back around on you, to learn the relatively little things that can have such a profound effect on every element of your life.
I always say life changes in an instant. A life-changing moment does not have to be a big grand thing. It changes in an instant. And if you are willing to release how that happens, incredible things could come together and change and shift and move like that. And I want people to have more of that access to be able to change their life. Like, if you shift your energy, you can change your life. And my tagline will always be, you create your own reality. That's it. Full stop. You create your own reality. So take it, leave it, do what you want with it. But at the end of the day, you got one life to live. What are you going to do with it? And if it feels hard, how are you going to make it easy?
That's another thing. Oh, God, I love it. God, okay, I'm going to let you go after this, I promise. One of my favorite things, like lines I've come across over the last few years that has really, it's really something that I like, it's almost like something I'll reflect on a daily basis, is asking myself a question, which so many of my new favorite things are. I ask myself, what would this look like if it were easy? And just let that question hang out there. Like whatever it is I'm engaging with, whatever task I'm going through, a relationship that I'm in the middle of, maybe it's bumpy, maybe it's great and is about to be greater, whatever it happens to be, it's like, what would this look like if it were easy? And again, easy is not just like the short path necessarily. It's like, when I like the concept of ease more than the idea of easy, because ease can be this incredibly profound, like you're like, you know, you can with ease navigate the ocean, even though the ocean is just this violent waves and currents and everything. But there, if you find the right like current and the right like wind, and you got your sails up just right, all of a sudden it's just you're cutting through it like butter, and there's ease there. And so I love sitting with that question: what would this, whatever this is, look like if it were easy? And then just usually some answers come real quick when I let myself sit with that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's because your willingness to just, hear and knowing that you have all the answers within yourself. And I have a similar saying. I say ease and grace. So I always want to do things with ease and grace. But once you come to that, that's like a pivotal moment of transformation, because you're just like, all right, well, wow, I figured out how to do this. Maybe I decided to delegate to someone. usually when you think like that, you talk about resources just show up. Someone will pop up and be like, hey, Taj, I will do this for you. Talk about ease and grace.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Get it back to me by next Tuesday. Appreciate that. And so I love to talk about those moments because those are just like really moments of transformation. Just even in that small example, now I have more leadership, right? I've learned that I have a little bit of authority and people are willing to help me. And I think when I talk about perspective shift, I love chatting with people because they'll tell me these very small stories and I can turn back to them like the actuality of what's happening there. And when they sit with that, then they find the power. It's like, oh, wow, did I really do that? Yes. I like to speak truth to power in such a way to say, you did all that. You might not have recognized what was happening in that situation, but all those things have now made you a better version of yourself, even in this small way. But baby steps are always steps towards the next version of you.
I love that. You keep saying things that I'm like, my brain like starts to fire off. I'm like, I want to follow up because like that phrase truth to power is usually, the individual to an institution is how it's often framed. But then I love truth to power being, no, I'm the coach speaking truth to your individual power and letting it wake up. Like I was like, I really, really like that. I'm actually gonna spend some time today and just kind of sit with that slight but profound shift in that particular phrase, truth to power. I like that. I might name that. That might be the name of the episode. I don't know. I have so many options.
I love it. But I just want people to expand their power and potential in life, but you have to know you have it. And that has been my gift. And so I am here as a coach doing anything I can to connect with as many people as I can to help them activate their power and go out there and just do whatever they want to do. Is everyone's out here creating a life that they really truly love and enjoy. I can't even verbalize how amazing the world will be after that. Like, I feel it. It's so big. Just like, wow, everyone, be happy. So many of these things and problems that we have could easily go away with ease and grace if everyone would just be dedicated to living a life of joy and happiness, So.
It's just that hard and it's just that easy. Oh man, if you're within the sound of our voice right now or whenever you come across this episode, find Taj, connect with her. She is a joy. I tell you, I promise you, you already know this. If you've listened to this whole episode, you already know. You don't need me to remind you here at the end. But Taj, thank you so much for talking with me today and also letting me record some of it. This is just, like I would have done this any time of day or night for absolutely no other reason than the joy of the conversation. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, it's been such a pleasure. I love chatting about it all the time. And you are a fantastic host, had me in stitches this whole time. Thank you, Kevin. It has been an amazing conversation with you today.
And we may have to talk again soon. I may have to do like a part 2, 3, 4 sometime in the future.
I'm down for it all. I am down for it all. I have a very distinct soapbox. I get on it all the time. I'm like, you can be a better version of you, I promise. That's why I named the company Believe You Me, because I want people to know, like, listen, I'm not out here lying to you. I have no reason to lie to you, okay? You are an amazing, fantastic person, and I want you to see that, and I will do what I can to show you that. Believe you me.
Right now the audience can't see this necessarily, but you're touching your cheeks a little bit, and it's like it reminded me that I've been smiling for so long during this conversation that my cheeks are a little sore. So I think I need to I need to stop recording. I need to go do a little cheek massage, maybe relax, maybe go outside and get some fresh air in the January brisk climate. Thank you. And to the audience, thank you for listening. Although you should, just go find more. Go find more of Taj. You're not gonna regret it. And we will talk to you again very soon.